Welcome to your October 2021 horoscope. My name is Cailin, and today I'm going to be covering the major transits for the month ahead using tropical astrology and the whole sign system. I strongly recommend that you watch your horoscope for your ascendant sign first and foremost, because it will be the most accurate for you overall. Having said that, if you've got time to watch your horoscopes for your sun and moon sign as well, please do so, because the sun sign horoscope will tell you more about your life goals and your career, whereas the moon sign horoscope will pertain more to your family life and your current living circumstances. Now, I've got an exciting promotion which will run from the first 2 weeks from when these videos go live. You'll be able to book a 45-minute Zoom reading with me where I will use astrology and tarot to answer questions that you have about one major area of your life in extensive detail. This service is normally priced at $120, but you can book this one for the first 2 weeks only for just $90. If you want to book this reading with me, or if you want to see the list of my services that are available, you can head to the link in the description box below. Now, before I get into the horoscopes, I just wanted to say to you guys, thank you so much for all of your warm words of welcome. I read all of your comments on my horoscope series for September, and I was actually quite overwhelmed by how much love and support you guys were showing me. So thank you so much. And of course, a big thank you to Lada for giving me the opportunity to present to your amazing audience. And now let's dive into the horoscopes. Hi Scorpio, Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your October 2021 horoscope. On the 1st of October or the 30th of September, depending where you live in the world, Venus in Scorpio in your first house will square Jupiter in Aquarius in your fourth house. For those of you who live with family, or if you live with other people, this can see you feeling like whatever's going on in the communal spaces at home is really an imposition on your personal freedom. So you may feel like you've been relegated to your bedroom because there's just so much going on in the family unit or in the dynamics at home. Now, this could be due to someone that you live with having a child. There may be a grandchild who enters the family home. Or in any case, your family could just be pressuring you with regard to either getting into a serious relationship. They could be pressuring you with the relationship. Oh, as I said that, my candle went out. Wow, that's early in the piece. Anyway, they could be pressuring you about the partner that you are with, the fact that they want you to be with someone else, or the fact that you have certain friendships that they don't approve of. In some way, shape, or form, this transit is indicating that family or the dynamics between you and certain family members is creating some kind of uncomfortable pressure on you. Now, for those of you who are in a committed relationship, this transit indicates that you or the other person could be putting pressure on the relationship to take it a step further. Now, I'm inclined to say that this is the other person in the relationship who's pressuring you, and I say that because Venus rules over your 7th house of one-on-one relationships, but given that Venus is in your first house, it could be either or. So the way that this can play out is that one of you could be saying that you want to move in together. You could be saying, or they could be saying, that they want to get engaged, that you guys should be getting married, or they could even be pressuring you, or vice versa, to either start a family as represented by Jupiter ruling over your 5th house of children, or maybe you already have kids together and they want to have another child, or you want to have another child, and you're just not really seeing eye to eye on these matters. Now, for those of you who are more sort of casually dating someone, there could be pressure here to meet the family. And I say that not only because Jupiter is in your 4th house of family, but Jupiter rules over your 2nd house. From a Vedic perspective in astrology, the 2nd house rules over your family. Now, they could just be pressuring you to partake in some kind of family or cultural traditions, or once again, this could be vice versa. Now, lastly, with this transit, you could feel pressure to expand your own business or to start your own business. And that is because Jupiter rules over your 5th house, which represents owning your own business. So for those of you who already have your own business, you could feel pressure to expand your business or your company out to other cities, other states, or even foreign countries, as represented by Venus ruling over your 12th house. Now, on a different level, maybe you just want to upgrade your office to something bigger, and you could have to spend a fair bit of money to do so. And I say that because Jupiter rules over your 2nd house of finances and resources. Now, on the 6th of October, there will be a new moon in Libra in your 12th house. Now, this new moon will be at 13 degrees Libra, and it will actually be in exact conjunction with your ruling planet Mars, and it will also be in a wide conjunction with Mercury, which will be retrograde at that time. Now, the 12th house rules over periods of isolation and being in solitude. So you may be in self-imposed isolation, and this may be for quarantining purposes, this could be for artistic purposes, or you could even be partaking in some kind of spiritual retreat, which is also shown by the 12th house. Now, on a different level, some of you may be going into some kind of respite facility, or you could have a stay in a hospital. Now, I'm not saying this in terms of going to the ER. This is more like if you've got something planned and you know there's going to be a long period of recovery, this may coincide with that new moon, because the 12th house in astrology rules over things like hospitals, and it also rules over prisons. This is a general reading, so I like to give a real smorgasbord of ways that these transits can play out for you. Some of you may simply be fulfilling a prison sentence. Now, on a different level, with the 12th house representing artistic projects and creative endeavors, you may be doing a lot of work behind the scenes, which is represented by the 12th house. This conjunction with Mercury, which rules over your 8th house, shows that both your 8th and 12th houses, which are very secret houses in astrology, are activated here. So you could be doing a lot of deep research into some kind of creative project that you are working on. Now, it could actually be related to your daily job anyway, and I say that because Mars rules over your 6th house, which represents work. In any case, you may just need to keep really quiet about the work or the research that you are doing. Now, this new moon in Libra will actually be making an exact in conjunction to Uranus in Taurus, which is in your 7th house. So this can see there being some kind of crisis that occurs in the life of your significant other, if you have one, or it could even be in the life of a family member, because Uranus rules over your 4th house of family. Now, I'm not saying that something terrible is going to happen to your family or to your significant other. It's more just that there could be some kind of sudden new development that crops up in their life that they have to deal with. Inconjunctions in astrology form a challenging energy which kind of acts like a bit of a diversion. So you may just need to put some focus or time and effort into supporting this other individual in your life, which could sort of be taking the focus or the concentration off your creative endeavors or off your artistic projects and pursuits. Now, lastly, with this transit, you may be developing some kind of newfound interest in spirituality or divination. So this could be anything to do with yoga, tarot, astrology, Reiki healing, or even looking into things like meditation and past life regressions. Now, because Mercury is retrograde in this transit, you may have been interested in these topics before, or you may have dabbled in them, but now that we've got this new moon in Libra in your 12th house, maybe you're going all in with how much you are studying these things or pursuing these things. And I'm saying that you're going all in with it because this new moon, once again, will be in exact conjunction with your ruling planet, which is Mars. So you're going to have a real interest in these areas, and you may actually incorporate the things that you're learning about or that you're studying into your daily habits. And that's because Mars rules over your 6th house, which represents all kinds of habits that you start and that you carry out. Now, on the 9th/10th of October, we will see the Sun, Mars, and Mercury all being conjunct at 16 degrees Libra. So this is really the flow on energy from the new moon in Libra, and I'm flagging this date as a time where you may want to officiate something with regard to how this new moon can play out for you. So what I mean by that is you may want to sign up to a yoga course. You may want to buy a tarot deck on this date. You may want to purchase an astrology reading on this date. It is a really great time to cement your interest or cement the new moon intentions that you have by taking some kind of concrete action. Now, between the 6th and the 19th of October, we will see 4 planets stationing direct. And in order, those are Pluto in Capricorn, Saturn in Aquarius, Jupiter also in Aquarius, and Mercury in Libra. So I'm going to run through a few different ways that this can play out for you in your life. On the 6th/7th of October, once again, depending where you live in the world, Pluto will station direct in Capricorn in your 3rd house. This is going to see you having a totally transformed mentality and a really big perspective shift about your life's calling or your path in life. And that's because Pluto is one of the planets that rules you. And the 3rd house represents how we think, and it represents our mentality, and it also represents our communications. So maybe over the last 5 months, you've thought a lot about what you want to do with your life. Maybe you have transformed the way that you communicate with people in your life. Maybe you've had a really big perspective shift over the last 5 months and you haven't really been able to implement the changes in how you're thinking into the physical realm. But now that Pluto, your ruling planet, is direct, you're able to actually take action when it comes to these new ideas that you've had or these new thought processes that you've been cultivating. Now, on the 11th of October, Saturn will station direct in Aquarius in your 4th house. Once again, the 4th house rules over our family, and it also represents property. So you may have been struggling to fine-tune your current living circumstances over the last 5 months. Maybe you haven't really felt grounded in a new home that you've moved into or into a new home that you've built. Maybe you've been physically building a home over the last few months, and I imagine a lot of you who are in that category may have experienced some obstacles or challenges with regard to the construction of a building, whether that's your home or a development or literally anything that you're building, and now there will be more smooth sailing in that department. Now, on the 18th of October, Jupiter will station direct in your 4th house. So this can lead to growth in the family or expansion of your family. On a different level, you may just feel less restricted by your family. Maybe you live with your parents or with grandparents, or maybe you just live somewhere where there are a lot of rules and a lot of restrictions that are imposed upon you by the people that you live with. Jupiter represents freedom and expansion. Now that it is direct, and now that the ruler of Aquarius, which is Saturn, is also direct, you can experience many more freedoms at home. Now, it doesn't just need to be impositions by family members. Maybe you've been in some kind of lockdown, or maybe you've experienced a lot of restrictions where you're currently living, and these are now turning around and you're experiencing more freedom in your day-to-day life, and maybe you're no longer cooped up at home. Now, on the 18th/19th of October, Mercury will station direct in Libra in your 12th house. The 12th house is a very psychological house. So for the 3 weeks preceding this date, you may have been psychoanalyzing yourself, and this could be with regard to your long-term goals and dreams. And I say that because Mercury rules over your 11th house, which represents these long-term goals that you have. Now, Mercury ruling over the 11th house also represents your friendship circle. Okay, so some of you Scorpios may have been thinking really long and hard about the company that you keep. Maybe you've come to a realization that you don't really want to be part of certain friendship groups anymore, or of certain communities anymore. Now, Mercury also rules over your 8th house, which is another very deep and psychological house. So maybe you've had some epiphanies over the last 3 weeks, and you're seeing things from a totally different perspective. And certainly these epiphanies could lead you to do a total 180 when it comes to these long-term goals and dreams that you have. Now, on the 19th of October, Mars in Libra in your 12th house will trine Jupiter in Aquarius in your 4th house. Once again, Mars is your ruling planet. So this transit can see you putting so much energy and effort into spiritual practices, into divinatory practices. And that is because, once again, the 12th house represents things like meditation, yoga, tarot, astrology. And by investigating these things, or by participating in these things, or taking them up, you are going to see such a beneficial impact on the people that you live with, as represented by Jupiter in the 4th house. Now, even if you live alone, same deal. You will experience so much peace when you are at home, because you've been investigating deep and psychological things in your life which could have been disturbing your sleep, which could have been prohibiting you from getting a good night's sleep, or from even being able to rest and relax. Now, for those of you who do live with other people, this energy and effort that you are putting into spiritual practices, meditating and resting and relaxing, can basically have a positive impact on your children, because they will be feeling that your presence and that your energy is a lot calmer. Maybe you've been really high strung or really wound up over the last however many weeks, months, God forbid years, and now they're just sensing this total change in your demeanor. And this could have a really calming effect on not just your children, but once again, your family members or anyone that you live with. Now, on the 20th of October, there will be a full moon in Aries at 27 degrees in your 6th house. Every time we see a full moon take place, the sun and the moon are in exact opposition with one another. And the sun in this instance will actually be conjunct your ruling planet, which is Mars. The 6th house in astrology rules over our work, any kind of daily duties and responsibilities that we have to carry out, and it also rules over our health. So I'll run through a few different ways that this can manifest for you. On the work front, some of you may be changing departments, resigning from your job, retiring altogether, or if you were in some kind of managerial role or supervisor role, you may actually be stepping down from this position, or you could simply just be letting go of some of these responsibilities and delegating them to your employees. Now, on a different level, some of you may be taking some kind of parental leave or some kind of sabbatical. Now, with this full moon sextiling Jupiter in your 4th house, once again, this could be to take care of a newborn, or maybe you've welcomed a grandchild into your family and your children need some support with this grandchild. But on a different level, maybe you just need some time at home. Maybe you're taking a cheeky break from work because you want to start your own business or launch your own business. So this full moon in Aries basically has mostly positive aspects occurring with it, except for a square to Pluto in Capricorn in your 3rd house. Now, the third house, once again, rules over our mentality. It rules over how we think. And with Pluto here and this square, which is a hard aspect, which represents a challenging energy to navigate, you may have these questions come up which make you think, well, who am I if I'm not a manager? Who am I if I don't have this professional responsibility anymore? Even though you're seeing the end of some kind of, once again, responsibility or duty or something happening on the work front, and it's mostly good, you may be quite confused about why you're having these conflicting thoughts of, hey, I should be happy that I no longer have to do this, or I should be happy that, I'm approved for parental leave or an extension on your existing parental leave. But there may just be some conflicting thoughts with regard to this end of a chapter in your life. Now, on the health front, some of you may have been experiencing some kind of health issue which has thus far gone without a diagnosis, or you haven't been able to discover the root cause of it. Given that we are seeing the Sun conjunct Mars, which is your ruling planet, and Mars rules over your 6th house of health, this transit suggests that you may actually receive some kind of solution or a diagnosis, or at the very least some answers with respect to this mystery illness or this mystery ailment. So there could be some positive results or some positive communication which comes in, but it could be quite confusing to you. Now, that's because of this square to Pluto in your 3rd house. So a throwaway example of what that could be is that maybe your doctors have said, this is the issue. And so you adjusted your mentality and your way of thinking to, okay, I have this problem and this is how I'm going to deal with it. But now you actually have answers or a diagnosis which contradicts what you've already been told. And now this is just throwing up a lot of confusion for you. In any case, I just want to say that this is a general reading. I am not a medical health practitioner, so if you do have any questions surrounding your health, please seek out your trusted health advisors and practitioners and doctors. Now, on the 22nd of October, Mars in Libra in your 12th house will square Pluto in Capricorn in your 3rd house. Both Mars and Pluto are your ruling planets in astrology. Now, some astrologers may look at this transit and go, oh, Mars in Pluto, watch out, Scorpios. I have a different take on this, and that is because Mars rules your 12th house, which is a very psychological house. So I perceive this as being basically a whole lot of changes which are happening for you on a very deep and psychological level. Now, interestingly, the 3rd house, representing our thought patterns and our mentality and our perspective, is at odds with the nature of the 12th house, which is, our subconscious state. It's what we are not really consciously aware of. It represents being in a meditative state, in a trance-like state, or, this is what you're like when you're simply asleep. So because you've got both of your ruling planets being in a subconscious house and a conscious house, this could be basically causing a lot of confusion for you, Scorpios, because you may just not really know what to think about these psychological issues which may be bubbling up to the surface. Basically, your investigation or your participation in anything to do with psychology, whether that's seeing just a good old traditional psychologist or, like I said, a tarot reader or someone who deals with divinatory practices, this could be totally transforming how you think. Maybe you never believed in spirits or anything paranormal, and then you have an experience which just calls into question your whole perception of reality. It's essentially a perspective shift which is quite uncomfortable and which happens in a very radical way, which may be quite jarring to your current perception of reality. Now, I just want to say that, this transit's purpose is for you to learn what you can control in life and letting go of the things that you can't control. And it's also about not letting fears and doubts plague your waking state, because this will have a negative impact on your subconscious state and your state of mind when you are asleep. So it's about reconciling things that are part of your shadow side, to doing shadow work and calling this into your waking state so that you can really analyze the things which make you feel fearful or which basically cause you to feel anxious on a day-to-day level. Now, there is one more transit for the month, which is Mars entering Scorpio on the 30th/31st of October. I'm not going to have time to go into that today, but this will be first on the agenda for November. So if you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see next month's horoscope, please hit the subscribe button. I hope you enjoyed this horoscope reading and enjoy your month ahead.